What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. It's one day closer to Super Showdown, AEW Revolution, and WrestleMania 36, so you know there's a lot going on. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker training at the Performance Center, WWE making sure they don't make the same mistake again, Alicia Fox's sobriety, Eric Bischoff defends Dave Meltzer, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as we look at the Raw ratings and whether they went up or down. Now, due to the President's Day holiday, Raw's ratings were a day late, but as we'll see, the wait was worth it as the show's total rating jumped from last week. Meltzer noted that Raw on Monday night did its best showing since December 30th with a 2.44 million viewer average. For whatever reason, there is a history of Raw doing big numbers on President's Day weekend, as last year's show did 2.77 million. PW Insider looked at the show hour by hour and showed that Raw started off incredibly strong in hour 1, keeping a good portion of the audience in hour 2, dropping a modest 4%, only for hour 3 to see Raw lose 22% of its hour 1 audience. As Meltzer observed, the second to third hour drop was the second largest of all time, trailing only a 2018 episode that had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson appearing at the end of the second hour. The first hour was the most watched first hour of the show since September 30th. As we suggested in our Raw analysis this week, the WWE missed a tremendous opportunity by booking Orton vs Hardy in the hour 1 as opposed to saving it for hour 3. It's likely more fans would have stuck around for hour 3 for such a big event, but the WWE chose not to. More importantly is the very real problem of Raw's inability to keep fans around for hour 3. As much as they may not like it, the reality is that several of the past week's third hour have featured main events involving Seth Rollins and his disciples battling Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and the Viking Raiders. It's no coincidence that the ratings dropped when the fans know they'll be seeing Rollins and company fighting it out for the upteenth time. They need to find new players in the main event, as well as consider new opponents for Seth and Kevin Owens. The problem is that the WWE has been lax in its main event booking, and it can't hope that fans are going to suddenly gain an appreciation for what's been playing on top right now. Next up, WWE not making the same mistake they did last time. While it seems wrestlers who vowed never again after the tumultuous travel troubles following 2019's Crown Jewel are going back to Saudi Arabia, it appears the WWE locker room has banded together and made a pact concerning their next show in the kingdom. PW Insider's Mike Johnson revealed, "I've been told that basically in the company there were an unofficial edit that stated like, we're all going together, we're all staying together, nobody is leaving early if there's an issue, everybody is staying together. If you're not a wrestler and you're part of the support staff, you're not leaving until the wrestlers leave, because there was some anger on the wrestlers' end that some people who worked for the company left before the wrestlers did, and the wrestlers got stuck. This is a good sign of solidarity by the WWE wrestlers, and hopefully things will go smoothly this time around. Otherwise, wrestlers will have to show considerably more solidarity if they want to stand up for themselves against Mr. McMahon." Next up, Stone Cold returning to television. The WWE continues to bring star power to boost its weekly shows, whether it's Bill Goldberg and Hulk Hogan on SmackDown, or our next legend, as sources have indicated that Stone Cold Steve Austin is currently scheduled to appear on Raw on Monday 16th March. It's always good to see the Texas Rattlesnake, and if the WWE is smart, they'll have him show up in person rather than Skype. Next up, The Undertaker is getting ready for WrestleMania. There's been an Undertaker sighting at the WWE Performance Center. No, we're not talking about those vignettes that the WWF ran back in 1994 after Yokozuna kayfabe killed The Undertaker at that year's Royal Rumble. Instead, we're looking at the possibility that the Phenom is getting ready for his rumored WrestleMania match against AJ Styles. Fightful Select recently reported, at least as of last week, The Undertaker was at the WWE Performance Center. Mark Henry was also there, which isn't a surprise considering he contributed to the Lee vs Dijakovic vignette that aired. Wrestlelamia hopes that Undertaker is training hard and is certain AJ Styles can help make this a true WrestleMania moment if Taker does his prep going into the match. Next up, an update on Alicia Fox's sobriety. Although the WWE Universe hasn't seen Alicia Fox since last July's Raw reunion show, she's been busy working on recovering her life. The one-time Divas champion posted an update on Instagram informing everyone, "Happy 6 months recovery to me. speechless and still growing. Recovery and addiction challenge forms of norm, but who wants to mature to normal anyway? Keep expanding. Okay, now that's a complete thought. Many congratulations to Alicia for this milestone, and we can't wait to see her back in the ring once she's ready. It can be empowering for people battling substance abuse and other personal demons when they see a celebrity share their story. Next up, a scrapped angle from the Kofi-Mania storyline. Fans still have fond memories of Kofi Kingston's incredible rise to the main event last year, a storyline that played with fans' emotions, as any good storyline should, as Mr. McMahon did his best to keep the Dreadlock Dynamo out of the title picture at WrestleMania 35. While the build-up to Kofi vs. Bryan featured some great segments, not all of them made it to air. During an episode of the New Day's new podcast, The New Day Feel the Power, Big E mentioned an angle that was supposed to happen. The plan was originally, and I was so excited for this, we legit kick the door in and tear McMahon's office up, legit throw things over. I think he's in the office in the corner. We're throwing tables over and making quite a mess of his office, and just going on a rampage, and had this visceral anger about what's happening to Kofi. While this didn't happen, the storyline was still well done. Do you think this abandoned storyline would have added to Kofi's tale of triumph? Let us know in the comments down below. And next up, a sneak peek at AEW's action figures. Not too long ago we alerted you about the new AEW action figures on the way. Now fans can look at the figures. Toymaker Jazzwares announced February 19th, 2020, Jazzwares, a global leader in play and all elite wrestling, are tag teaming on AEW's first line of action figures and roleplay collectibles. Featuring AEW World Champion Chris Jericho, Cody, The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley and more. The new AEW Unrivaled line will be on display at Jazzwares' booth at Toy Fair New York on February 22nd to 26th and will hit retail later this year. They also mentioned a number of upcoming figures, including MJF, Darby Allin, Dr. Britt Baker, Brandy Rhodes, Hangman Adam Page, Jurassic Express, and many more. If you're not into collecting action figures, these AEW figures look solid. It's always difficult to test an action figure without using it, but the pictures look great and the toy makers promise that it's going to release variants and limited edition figures should make collectors happy. Next up, our funky reunion at Mania. As we informed you in an earlier news video, the WWE is already bringing in legends to make this year's WrestleMania an unforgettable experience. Now, PW Insider is reporting that Brodus Clay and Cameron are on tap to show up at this year's Showcase of the Immortals. With Naomi likely to wrestle Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, could we see her reunited with her fellow Funkadactyl and Brodus? Next up, Sonya Deville talks up women's locker room leaders. Fire and Desire member Sonya Deville recently discussed wrestling on Ronda Rousey's website, covering a number of things including who the locker room leaders are amongst the WWE's women's division. Bayley is definitely one. She's like the locker room leader always. She's someone you could go to for advice or if you have questions about how things work or whoever it was. She's definitely just a natural leader in the locker room. Deville also dropped the Raw Women's Champion's name, saying, Becky was someone that I always went to. Becky's cool because she's one of those people that leads by example. She's not going to tell you what to do with your life, but she just carries herself in the way that's admirable. Neither name is a surprise, as it's rare that someone makes it to the main event and stays without a strong work ethic and the drive to inspire those around them. Next up, Shayna Baszler blows off fan criticism. If you watched the 17th February Raw, you probably heard former NXT Women's Champion drop the S-bomb during a promo. Well, apparently one fan wasn't happy with the profanity and tweeted, I don't mind if you pull something like this, but my kids were watching, and if you aren't going to keep it PG, you should say so. Baszler responded by saying, or you could be a father and tell them that I'm a terrible person and they shouldn't like me for that, or that they'll get grounded and their tablets taken away if they ever do that. Because I don't give a crap about your kids, so I won't modify my behavior for them. Well, firstly, Raw operates on a time delay, which means it's unlikely any profanity or any unexpected moment will be shown on television because the production truck has several seconds to bleep it or cut it to a different shot. In this case, we can't help but think it's a manufactured controversy designed to get Baszler over as someone who defies the rules. Second, the WWE's work shoots on social media have become so tiresome they're cliches now. The Twitter user who complained to Baszler was either a WWE employee or a digital dummy account. And our final news story today, Eric Bischoff defends Dave Meltzer. And Dave Meltzer gets his fair share of criticism, and recently King Corbin took things to a new low when he called Meltzer a cancer to wrestling. Eric Bischoff, no fan of Meltzer, tried to put things into perspective, tweeting, "Cancer is too strong of a word. He's not much of a threat, more like herpes." And we'll leave things on that note. But there you have it guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.